Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today I am assembling my Autumn Overture project kit. There are 3 projects in this kit. One is a folio with a waterfall inside. The second is an envelope with extra pockets to hide all kinds of goodies. And the third is a much larger folio with some extra little flips inside. You can find this project kit in my Etsy shop. There is a link in the description down below. And there is an additional link for my email list where if you sign up, you can get a free 4th project sent to your inbox immediately. So let's go over a little bit of preparation and tools that you might need to do these projects. I have printed everything on 110-pound cardstock, and I'll link all of my supplies in the description down below. Some things do need to be printed front and back. I do indicate those items right on the file, so the page with this piece on it will say to print the matching paper on the back side. So all the instructions are right there, and I will go over those again for each individual project. The edges of all of my pieces are done in vintage photo distress ink. That is optional, but I like to do it. It makes everything pop and kind of hides edges on things where maybe it's dark and there's a little bit of white edge from printing and cutting, that kind of thing. So that's an optional step, but please do it if you so desire. For adhesive, I will be using Beacon Fabri-Tac. I don't think I'm going to use a glue stick today, but if I did, it would be the Uhu glue stick. So if that comes out, that way you're not surprised. But today I'm going to be using primarily my Beacon Fabri-Tac. This glue dries quickly and it has a fine tip. You can use any glue you like, as long as it is a liquid glue with a fine tip. I will be marking the video with timestamps so you can fast forward to the project that you want to work with. And I'm going to start with the Waterfall Folio. So I have all of my pieces for the Waterfall Folio all cut out, as I discussed. And I'm going to move a lot of this over to the side. And let's go over the pieces that need to be printed front and back. You're going to need to do the pages with this large bird panel on it, the page with the large harp panel on it, and then the pages that have these little waterfall flips on them. And that's just so that they're finished on the back side when you flip them up. I believe I have these marked as optional, so look over those instructions. They're printed on each page, and decide for yourself what you want to go ahead and print all the backs on. But these 2 panels are definitely mandatory. I do like to crease everything ahead of time. So for this large panel, there will be a line right across here. You're going to want to fold on that line. And I would give this a fold back and forth a good 2 or 3 times because this piece is going to want to move in both directions. You'll find something similar on this one. The line is going to run in between this feather panel and the harp panel. So you're just going to fold that right along that line and then go back and forth a couple of times just so that you have a good hinge action. Next, you'll have the 5 waterfall panels. These all have a tab at the top, so you're going to want to crease there and again so that they fold up and down nicely. I would fold back and forth a few times just to get those moving. And there is one little tab that needs to be folded in half. And this is going to go on top of one of our cards. So I'm just going to put that off to the side and tuck my waterfall pieces over here. And let's start with the base panels of the Waterfall Folio. So for assembly on this, I decided to do a slightly unconventional assembly. Instead of there being a tab up here, what is going to happen is this piece is going to hook right over the top of this one and become a decorative element on the back panel. So this entire piece is going to get glued down onto this panel here. So I'm just going to grab that Beacon Fabri-Tac. I like this too instead of the glue stick because it can be moved around after the glue is on. And I am just going to put a nice thin layer of glue, hit those edges pretty well. Nice bit in the middle. Going to line this up at my crease. Make sure my sides are lined up and fold this over. And then I'm just going to check that everything is going to fold up nicely. So I should be able to fold this panel up. This panel is going to come down and kind of touch at the bottom there. And everything is lining up pretty nicely. Let's pop to the inside. Things look good there. So that is that done. Next, I'm going to slide this down so that I can work on this top section. There are a couple of pieces I want you to grab. There is this little flower pocket and this little stacked books piece. So let's start with the flower pocket. This is going to be placed right about yay. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do glue right along the edges on the short and one long side. Like so. And then this is going to be placed just above my crease. I don't want to go all the way down into the crease because that'll cause this to bind up as it folds. And then I'm going to do my test fold. Always do a test fold. And that should, with liquid glue, get kind of pushed out of the way if it's too close to the crease. And then I'm going to run my finger and make sure there's no glue seeping out there. This second little pocket is going to go right about here. We're doing a little layering today. And again, I'm going to put glue on the two short sides and one long side, like so. I'm going to position that somewhere in this area, a little off to the side, because we have some text we're going to add as well. So I'm going to grab that little strip of text. And the positioning for this, anywhere you like. You can kind of go here, you can kind of go here. I like that positioning, so I think I'm going to go with that. And just run a little glue right along there, like so. Finally, I wanted to decorate this little tab at the top a bit. This is a good place if for some reason you want to do a magnetic closure. You could hide that under here. There's a piece that's also going to go on this bottom panel. So between the two, you might be able to hide some kind of magnetic closure. That's up to you. I'm going to use a Velcro closure on mine. So slide back up here, and this is just going to kind of nestle into that area to add a little detail. Like so. Just wanted it to feel finished when it was open. All right, let's go ahead and slide down and let's apply that piece I was just talking about. There's a little poem here. I'm just going to center this up. You have a little fudge room here, so if you are trying to hide a magnet or something like that under there, you can kind of adjust the positioning of this. And I'm just going to generously put some glue all over the back of this and center it up right on this panel. Now I'm ready to work on the center portion. There are 5 waterfall cards that are going to go down the center of this. You can put them in any order that you like. I think I'm going to do just about that order there. And these are going to get kind of centered up right down the middle here. So you might need to kind of play with the placement a bit. The top of each of these is going to touch the bottom of each of these tabs. So you can kind of do a quick dry fit of them, kind of one on top of the other, just to see where you want to put that top one, because you need to stop before it hits the bottom. So I'm going to adjust this up just a little bit. And I think that positioning looks good. So I'm just going to take these off. Can't get a hold of that one. And that is going to be about where I want to put this. So I'm just going to fold that down. Of course, I moved it just a little bit. That's okay. We can adjust. That's what's nice about the liquid glue. I'm going to put a little glue on the back of that. Eyeball that up. See if it's kind of straight. And place it about so. And at this point, you can really quickly do a quick little layer again and see where you're ending up. And you can see that I am pretty well centered. Now I'm going to flip this one up. I'm going to take my next waterfall piece, glue just on this tab on the back. and then butt this right up against my previous one. Now this is where it's important to make sure that this top one is pretty straight, because as you butt these up, if it's off, you're going to start seeing your waterfall kind of drift to the side. So check every single one, especially if you're using Fabri-Tac. There is a little bit of a grace period, so you can make some adjustments really quickly, or even kind of peel them off without too much damage and redo it. So same thing, I'm going to flip 1, 2 up, and then just butt that right under, just right to. You don't want it to go underneath, you just want it to kind of go right to. That way the whole thing looks finished when you flip them up, and they're nice and evenly spaced going down. It looks like I'm in a pretty straight line. 2 more to go. And then once I get all of these in, I'm going to let everything dry really, really well before I put my ephemera into the pockets up at the top of this page. Last one. Flip everything down, one last check. It looks all nice and neat. Let's do a fold check. Looks good. Everything's folding up nicely. So let's let this dry and then put our ephemera in. All right, so everything is dry, and I'm gonna move to the top here. I do have one little tab to add. I almost forgot about this guy, but let's go ahead and slide the violin piece in first, and then we have this really pretty silhouette. And the tab is going to go on the flower card right in the center. It doesn't matter which part of the tab is on the front. Your choice. This is just to add a little more of that purple all the way through the design. Thin layer of glue, and just pop that tab right on there. And then I'll slide that back in here. And then our 2 little things go in that cute little pocket like so. And now we have finished assembling the Waterfall Folio. At this point, you can decide on a closure. You could just put some ribbon around the whole thing to hold it shut. You could punch a hole here and add some ribbon there and go this way with your cord. I am going to use a Velcro dot. This is my favorite fastener. Has a clear side and a not clear side. So you always have to kind of think about where you're going to put that whiter one. And I always pick the lighter surface. So in this case, I think this would be my lighter surface, and I would attach the clear dot to my red surface. And I'm just going to pop that on there and press it down. And now I have a Velcro closure for my folio. All right, let's move on to project number 2, which is the pockets envelope. On this one, the only piece that you need to print front and back is the main envelope body. You want that to be finished on the inside whenever you open it up. Everything else is optional. As always, you can print the back of everything if you like, but this is the only piece that really needs to be done. Everything has that vintage photo distress ink. It's cut out. I am pre-folding 2 pieces. This pocket here has 3 tabs. They all need to fold in to the back like so. And then the envelope main body, you're going to want to crease on the line that's in between this main panel and the top flap, as well as the pocket and the main panel. That's going to fold as well. And then these 2 tabs are going to fold in so that they can attach like so. So those are going to be on the back, and you've got your couple of creases there. You can fold this top one back and forth a couple times so it moves a little better, but the bottom one is just going to go to the back and stay there. So let's go ahead and start assembling this. I'm going to start with this bottom area because it is the most complicated, and I've got my pocket with all 3 tabs folded to the back. I'm going to grab my beacon Fabri-Tac, And let's get my glue on here. You're going to want to make sure you have a nice layer of glue, but don't be messy and get it onto this area because you'll glue your pocket shut. I do recommend making sure you get glue all the way to the edge of this bottom tab so things don't catch on it whenever you try to slide them into the pocket. And then I'm going to place this right here, not all the way to the bottom of the envelope. And then make sure your sides are lining up neatly. I did mean to recommend that you do a dry fit of this and make sure that nothing is overhanging on these before. So before you glue it down, do a little dry fit, sit it on top, and if you see that your sides are kind of overhanging this envelope just a bit, crease them a little more. They're lined up right, but sometimes when we crease things, we're not exact and things can be off just a little bit. So make sure that this is contained within the bounds of your envelope. Now I'm going to grab these bottom tabs and I'm going to glue those up to make our second pocket. So just apply a little glue to each of these. And then push those tabs in and glue them right to that other pocket. And I'm going to give those a really good press and make sure everything is down really well. For this top portion, we've got a more simple pocket that's going to go there. We're going to do the 3 sides. Right like so. Get as close to the edges on those as you can. And I'm going to place this just above that crease. And as always, let's do our little crease test. Got a little extra glue here, so let me get rid of that. And then this is going to fold over and make sure that that's folding over neatly. Run your finger, make sure you get all the extra glue so you don't accidentally glue your pocket shut. And then let's flip this over. And on our top flap, in fact, turn it this way so things don't end up upside down because this flap is going to be like this whenever we close it. So we want to work at this angle. There is a band that's going to go on here. So I'm going to glue the ends of this. And you can come in maybe about 1/4 of an inch on this band and everything should still fit pretty well. And that way it'll be nice and secure. And I am just going to place this right across the middle of the flap. And then we have this lovely lady. She's kind of a seal that's going to go in the middle. She is optional, so if you don't care for this piece, you don't have to put it in. And I'm going to kind of scribble my glue right in the middle like that instead of trying to not over glue the back of this. I'm just going to press that into place gently. And now at this point, I'm going to let everything dry before I put the ephemera into the envelope. All right, things are all dry and I'm ready to start popping this ephemera in. So you might want to double check everything really quickly. I'm going to grab my bone folder. You could also grab a pair of scissors and just run it underneath because sometimes that glue, like I have a couple little catching spots here, like little dots of glue get in there and it makes it hard to put your ephemera in. You can also do the same thing with pockets, like so. And just make sure nothing has kind of glued itself shut. It happens, little strings get in there and they'll just pop right open. And I'm going to start with this outside piece. And there is just one little card. It's going to slide right underneath there to snug right in. Then let's flip it over, working top to bottom. I've got 3 pieces for that top pocket. I'm going to slide this one in first. And I've got this a pretty piece with the tree and this ornamental piece. For the larger pocket, there is a large violin card. You want to make sure that has gone all the way in and it's not going to get caught up in your crease. And there are a couple more fun tags to drop down in there. And for my bottom pocket, got this little postcard kind of piece with the roses on it. and a fun flower shaped cutout. Now, as I did with the last piece, you can add a Velcro closure to this if you want. You might need to do the corners so that there's 2 points of connection and it's not getting in the way of your ephemera. Otherwise, you can put a cord around this whole thing to kind of finish it off, tie a ribbon around it, slide it into a pocket on your journal, whatever you decide to do. But that is it for the pockets envelope. All right, now we're down to the third and final project in this kit, the larger folio. This is going to be a really fun piece to assemble. I've been looking forward to this. So again, everything printed, 110-pound cardstock for everything, vintage photo distress ink around the edges. And we've got a few pieces that we're going to want to crease ahead of time. We've got 2 flips that are going to crease right along a line that you'll find dividing this tab from the panel. So you've got both of those. You've got this panel with a tab here. You're going to want to fold this one back and forth a few times just to get it broken in. And you'll find that line right down here. And then this larger panel is also going to be creased right like so. I forgot to talk about the back. So this large panel, this panel, and the page with these flips on it all needs to be printed on the back. Again, instructions are found right on the files. So check all your pages before you print them and see what needs that paper pattern printed on the back. So I'm going to just kind of shuffle some of these extra pieces. There's a lot of pieces for this one. I'll shuffle those out of the way, and let's start with the body of the folio. This is going to connect right here so that this can fold in and then this piece can fold right over top of it. So our glue is going to go along this side of the tab. Grabbing my Fabri-Tac, and we want to get a good amount of glue up to those edges and then down the middle. I just kind of smear it out a bit so it's not too drippy. And then depending on how you like to do it, you might just kind of do this kind of a thing. Don't go all the way up. Don't jam it all the way up in there. So just kind of lay it down and then fold it all up and try to even that out. Just give it a little press and make it even. I did design a little bit of wiggle room right here so that this doesn't get jammed up into the crease. So you should be good on that front. But if not, you can push this out a little bit, or you can trim a little bit off of here if you find that things are just not going well. Just keep in mind, if you trim off here, some other things might need to be trimmed as well before they can go in. Next, we are going to address these 2 flips. Before we put these on, these are going to get some pockets. There are 2 little curved fun pockets. For the cap panel, I'm going to flip that down, and the books are going to go on that one. And for the floral panel, flip that up, and this is going to go right on the floral panel. I just felt like it would be easier to attach these pockets to these panels before they're attached to the whole folio. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to glue across this little bit and then down around these edges. Leave the swooshy curve untouched. And then line up those rounded corners. Now, if you've cut these out by hand and your corners are not lining up perfectly, don't worry about it. Put these together, let it dry, and then use your scissors to just clean those edges up and then pop a little distress ink over them, and nobody's ever going to know. I'm going to repeat that for the flower panel. Just right around that edge. And then let's pop that right on top, lining up those rounded corners. Make sure you line the edges up as well. Check the other side. Make sure everything is where it ought to be. All right, so those 2 are ready to go. And these are going to go on floral panel upside down. That is going to pop onto here. And the cap panel upside down is going to pop onto here. So it's going to be a little bit of maneuvering here. So let's grab the floral panel. I'm going to put glue all along this tab. And then let's just hook it right over this edge and bring it down. Because we want to make sure that that crease is going to crease well. Always got to check that crease. And I'm hanging over just a little bit, so I'm going to sketch that over. Test all my folds. That looks pretty good. And then let's repeat that for the cap panel. So I'm just going to turn this whole thing over. Place my glue on this tab. And true to form in this video, I forgot to mention something as we were putting those pockets on. Let's get this on first. Make sure it's all pushed over on this side. Smooth that down. All right. So if you want to add a tie closure here, you can either punch holes in this to thread your tie closure through, or before you put your pockets in, lay your ribbon down and put the pocket on top of it. It's going to leave a little lump, but it will kind of hide the end of your ribbon. So you have a couple of options for making this into a tie closure. And I've left a little gap here so that there's a little bit of space for you to kind of nestle a knot into when this is closed. It'll just give you just a little wiggle room there. So we've got these panels on now. Let's flip these up out of the way. And we've got some pockets to add into the interior. So let's start with this violin pocket. That is going to go to cover this tab. I'm just going to take it, flip it over, and let's glue on the three sides, the two short and the long straight, as close to the edge as possible. Flip it back and place that fairly close, but not all the way up to the crease. I'm going to flip these shut and fold this over. That's how we check our crease again, as always, and make sure that things are going to open and close well. For this other side, we have this fun little pocket. Again, we have rounded corners here. If you cut by hand, don't worry about it. We'll put this pocket in place, and then you can clean it up later, add some distress ink. Nobody's ever going to know. So let's get that glue right swooshing around. This is going to be, the glued side is the left-hand side of the pocket. And just line that up as best you can, and then clean it up with your scissors if you need to later. We've still got a couple more pockets to apply, so let's pop this open, and we've got these two guys to put in. So again, and we're going to not glue the curved section, just the straight sides. And I'm going to go right down, around, fairly close to the edge. And I'm going to place this one not quite to the bottom. I'm going to leave a little room there. Line it all the way up on the right-hand side so that you have a little tiny gap between the pocket and your crease. That's going to help this close better. I'm going to grab my second pocket, and that one is going to go here. Get those straight edges. My glue is being a little sassy. Bottle's getting low. When it gets low, it wants to pop out of the top. And this one's going to go just a little lower than the first one, but not all the way to the crease. Line it up on the right-hand side. Let's get any extra glue out of there, and then we're going to check our folds. 1, 2, 3, and make sure everything is folding over nicely. Once you're happy that everything is in a good place and everything is folding up nicely, we're going to add a decorative tab element to the lip of this, to the flap. So I'm going to open this back up, and these are the same piece, and it doesn't matter which one goes where. We're going to glue them back to back. This is a good place to put the end of a ribbon for a closure so that you can wrap it around the whole thing. So you can put your piece of ribbon in here as you glue it down. and that'll hide that and make it kind of seamless. You can put a Velcro dot on the bottom of this, which is probably what I'm going to do to kind of stick that down. There's a lot of different little options, so pick the one that works for you. And I'm just going to glue up the back of that and try to center it. And I'm going to place it just about like that. I'll see if I like that placement. I can always slide it in more. Place these back to back. And I am going to push these in a little bit. I feel like they're kind of just hanging off the edge. So I'm going to go about halfway, like so. And then make sure they're lined up. If I have a little white around the edge after these are dry, I'll just add some distress ink to that to kind of hide it. You can always distress ink the backs of these a little bit before gluing them together, and that will help as well. All right, I got my little Velcro closure in place. I put the clear side on this candle panel so that you couldn't really see it, and then the white over here. And that is the last of my projects in the Autumn Overture project kit. I really hope that you have enjoyed this project if you followed along and made your own. If you would like to get this kit, please head to the description down below, go to the Etsy shop, check out the project kit, get your free additional 4th project by signing up for the email list, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.